Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the last session of the INATBA Digital Blockchain Week, which is focusing on empowering tomorrow's leaders and the blockchain training simulation and learning from real-world use cases, which we are conducting in partnership with Chaise consortium. I'm very happy to welcome our speakers and our moderator here today. And without any further ado, I would like to give the floor to the moderator. Maybe just a suggestion: if you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to type them in the chat function, and also feel free to open your camera so that we can, have a more face-to-face discussion also with you and enjoy the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bara, and one more time also from my side, welcome everybody to the session on empowering tomorrow's leaders, blockchain training, simulation learning from real-world use cases. Today we are going to have speakers such as Margarita Leder, which is Chief Operating Officer at TMP Group. She will be part of the panel discussion later. I'm going to say about this later more. Bence Lukas, the educational consultant at the Digital Business University of Applied Sciences in Berlin, and Jonathan Fenton, business consultant at Fujitsu. And I am myself. My name is Laura Kaitazi, and I work for IOTA as a project and regulatory affairs manager. And with that, I would say, let's start with the introduction. So today's agenda looks as follows. So we will have an intro, which I'm holding right now. This live session is actually to showcase the progress of the Chaise project's training courses, or pilots, better say, and have conversations surrounding blockchain training, challenges and opportunities. We will have, after the introduction, the Chaise training simulation given by Jonathan from Fujitsu. He will dive into some real-world use cases. After this Chaise training simulations, we will have like kind of a round of poll questions for the audience. To have a little bit more interaction and to see what is your opinion of this topic on blockchain education in general. We will then have a panel discussion, also referring a little bit to what has been the result of the poll question, and having after that we can give the opportunity to everyone, but also in between there, if there are questions, to ask some questions. A little bit about the Chaise project. What is it actually? So Chaise intends the development of a strategic approach on development of skills for blockchain and distributed ledger technologies in Europe, with future-proof training solutions in order to address blockchain skill shortages and to respond to the current and future skill needs. Within that, we created a curriculum for blockchain, and apart from that, we also made surveys on blockchain skill demands and make attempts to actually forecast how much demand on blockchain skills in specific areas also will be there. So we are very actively trying to assess everything to actually be able to give some recommendations or forecasts about closing the skill gap within blockchain. Of course, partnerships and ecosystems are an important part of it. So we also try to grow within that, to share everything, and to meet this goal together of closing the skill shortages. What was it actually about, and why did we do it? We did it actually to identify any areas of improvement, to identify strength of the curriculum that we actually designed within the Chaise project. Within that exercise and task, we had 5 on-site pilots. And these included or covered 12 modules, all the 12 modules that are covered in the curriculum. And 5 organizations were taking part. We take these 5 pilots, like IOTA, Industria, Intrasoft, Fujitsu, and C4A. It lasted around, on average, 2 days. And for each pilot, we anticipated to have 25 participants or more, which has been also reached. And each company or each organization covered 2 to 3 modules. We also did a survey after that to kind of be able to evaluate later the results. Here just a QR code, but Jonathan will show this later as well. If you want to take a look at the online version of the curriculum, you can enroll even and do the courses. But we will share the link later. And as I said, Jonathan will say a little bit more about it. And with that, I would like to give the word to Jonathan. And he will do then the simulation of the blockchain training.
Thank you very much, Laura. Good afternoon, everyone, as Laura just said, and thank you very much, INATBA, for the invitation as well. So I'm Jonathan Fenton. I work for Fujitsu in the blockchain team as a business consultant. I'll be sharing my screen in a minute. If I just manage to find where I can do that. Yep. So for everyone's information, I tend to do these chats in person, so I'll try to make this as interactive and dynamic as possible. I take it you can all see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I cannot see everyone, right? So if you have any question, just please feel free to interrupt me. But so, yeah, we're here to talk about the Chaise project. It's an EU project to upskill the European workforce when it comes to blockchain. And my goal within the next 15-20 minutes is to provide you a demo of what is exactly within the Chaise project, right? So there are many modules, I think 12 altogether, and within each module there are various lectures. Obviously, I only have 15-20 minutes, so I'm going to focus on one. And the one I've decided to focus on today is module number 4, Blockchain Business Management and Planning, and the lecture number 1, which is Blockchain Sector and Industry Overview. Again, I just want to say this is only a very small part, and the idea for me is for all of you to understand what it is that we're trying to achieve and what we've achieved so far. Okay? So, Module 4, lecture number 1, moving on, what is it about? So, the agenda for this module is the learning outcomes, of course. Then we'll talk about cryptocurrencies, identity management, digital voting, smart grids, smart cities. As a little piece of information, I don't think we'll be talking about all of this, but were we to have this real module and this real lecture, this is what we would be talking about. This is just a bit of information because this Chaise project can be associated with other curriculums, so a bit of administrative information. But more importantly, what are the learning objectives of this lecture? I want you to be aware of the different applications, areas, and industries for a meaningful use of blockchain. There's also things I want you to be able to do and capable to do towards the end of this lecture. All right? Into the thick of things, what exactly is blockchain? My guess is that a lot of you associate but do not equate blockchain to current cryptocurrencies. I like to say that the difference between blockchain and cryptocurrencies is similar to the difference between sports and football. They're associated, but they're not the same. All right. But what exactly is a cryptocurrency? It's what are the characteristics of money? Well, money allows you to store value. It's a unit of account and it's a medium of exchange. These are very important characteristics because each time you'll think of money or something which can be shared, it needs to have these 3 characteristics if it can be associated to money. Moving on, what exactly is cryptocurrency? It's a digital currency, which is an internet-based media that are considered an alternative medium of exchange. It's a distinction between electronic money and virtual currency. More than that, it's also e-money and virtual currency, right? Again, this is only an introduction, so I'm not going to explain exactly what it is, what it's not. I just want you to understand what it is that we're trying to achieve when it comes to the Chaise project, okay? Bitcoin. I guess most of you have heard of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an example of a cryptocurrency. A cryptocurrency is an example of an application of blockchain. But what exactly is Bitcoin? Well, it was created in 2008. It's the most widespread and successful cryptocurrency. It has increased its market value by over 550% in the last 5 years. Who knows what will happen in the future? And it's good when it comes to network because it increases in value for the more people that consume the good. Okay. Benefit depends on the size of the network. This is similar to any social networks that you use on a daily basis, Facebook and others. All right. Now, moving on, right, let's remember we're here to talk about the Chaise project, blockchain, industry overview. First item was cryptocurrencies, but what exactly are coins and tokens? So these are different. So blockchain is a kind of token, is a kind of coin, but there are also tokens when it comes to blockchain. What is it that we're trying to explain here is that depending on the use case, a coin or token on a blockchain may be very, very interesting. How do they differ? A coin is money, it is fungible, and the transfer of a coin is inputs and outputs on blockchain transactions. All right. When it comes to a token, it's slightly different to a coin. It can be related to an asset, to a security, to an equity. Can also be associated to a utility or to a digital collectible, right? So again, these are different, but these are very, very interesting. Tokens can be fungible and non-fungible, and they can also be transferred through smart contracts. All right. So just as a recap for this very specific slide, within blockchain, we have cryptocurrencies, but we also have coins and tokens, which can be transferred on blockchains. Both are very interesting and can be applied in various situations. Okay. Moving on. Coins and tokens. What is an equity token? All right. So just for everyone's information, a token, okay, is something which is the digital representation, something which is applied on a blockchain. It allows the transfer of information, the transfer of data, the transfer of something on a blockchain. All right. An equity token, it represents a share, a representation that gives their owner, a stake in a company. An asset token is, for example, a stable coin or an example of mapping state currencies to the units of a cryptocurrency. All right. Moving on, we have different types of tokens. We have utility tokens and digital collectibles. All right. So we've talked about blockchain. We're talking about blockchain. We've talked about cryptocurrencies. Another application of blockchain when it comes to identity management. Why is identity management very important these days? As we all know, we use internet, we use digital platforms a lot, but when it comes to the management of our identity on this platform, this is when it comes a big challenge. In this instance, blockchain is very, very useful. Okay. So when we talk about identity management on blockchain, we very often talk about self-sovereign identity, or SSI. What is SSI? It's an approach to digital identity that gives individuals control of their identity, information, and data. Basically, when you operate through SSI, you provide the information of yourself which you want to share. Okay. If I only want to tell you my name and my family name, I will do so through SSI, right? And this is very, very interesting because it has an advantage over our current management of user data because it's single sign-on, but it also offers data sovereignty. And this is very much in relation to what I said previously, because through data sovereignty, I only share what I want to share and I don't share more. And when you interact with companies, with organizations, with platforms whom you don't necessarily trust, self-sovereign identity is very, very interesting. Okay? This is very much how self-sovereign identity works. In the context of this specific conversation, I will not elaborate on it, but please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. So, we've talked of various applications of blockchain. We've talked about cryptocurrencies. We've talked about identity management. Another one is digital voting. Why is this interesting? As we do know, in our Western societies, we tend to trust our governments, we tend to trust our organizations. This, unfortunately, is not a similar situation in all countries. Blockchain provides an opportunity, provides a system where you can vote without having necessary trust within the organizations which will operate, let's say, the whole voting principles. How does e-voting work? It must ensure that it has equality, legibility, no reusability, authentication, privacy, fairness, verifiability, and completeness. Okay? So there are various types of e-voting, but I don't think it's interesting to go in the thick of things for all of them. But what I want you to understand is that there's zero knowledge proof method and smart contracts. These are both very interesting and applicable in different situations, but in the context of this conversation, I will not elaborate on them further. All right. Now, what I want to make a big example of is when it comes to smart cities and actually supply chains. So if we take a step back, we're here to try and understand blockchain and the various use cases and the industries. We've talked about cryptocurrencies, we've talked about identity management, and we've talked about e-voting. Moving on, another application which is very interesting is everything when it comes to smart cities. What exactly is a smart city? What's in its architecture? Well, you've got 3 layers. You've got the service layer. So this is, everything when humans interact with government, everything with the environment and so forth. You then have the digital layer. This is the IoT, distributed ledgers, cloud, and so forth. And then you have the physical layer. So think of your roads, think of your buildings, and so forth. This is what makes your city right. Through smart city architecture, you can communicate, you can connect these items to ensure better process, to ensure better management. And this is done through a blockchain. All right. Now, the example here which I'm going to provide is the example of supply chain management. All right. So what exactly is supply chain management? Well, the supply chain is, of course, the value chain from the raw material supply to the end customer of the company. The main criteria of supply chain management is cost, time, and quality. And what are the advantages of blockchain in supply chain management? It's complete, it's chronologically, it's determinable and transparent process history. It also allows you to improve inventory management and reduce waste and costs. But lastly, it allows you to protect process for corruption and manipulation. Okay. Now, if you're interested to know about blockchain, I think it's always good to have real case example. And that's why I'm here to provide you with a real case example of a supply chain management done through blockchain, right? So this company is producing engines, and it's a big company which has plants everywhere in the world, but it also works with many customers everywhere in the world and many suppliers in the world. They have a challenge. They want to ensure that the process of the supply chain is done well, and it's done in a way that if ever there's an error, someone has to be responsible for this error. Okay, how does this person do it? It does it through blockchain. Why? Because on blockchain, what is on the blockchain will remain there forever. So imagine if I do, supply chain management on the blockchain, I've said that I've sent a certain engine in the context of this company, but the person never received it. Well, only by testing the blockchain, by going through it, will we ever know if I sent it or not. And thanks to this, when we implement this solution to this company, it will at any moment in time be able to check its supply chain and ensure the smooth process. Okay. I think perhaps this is a very interesting also example because it allows you to understand where the technicality of blockchain is very valuable in the real world. And I think this is what this Chaise project and this curriculum is really trying to do. It's providing on-the-ground knowledge, real-world knowledge, which allows people to get more information as to the possibilities of blockchain. Okay. So for the demo of this project, I'm going to stop now. But I want really you to understand is that this Chaise project is basically from zero, from like a course from scratch, which allows every people to understand more on blockchain from a business perspective, but also from a technical perspective. And it also allows you to then move on further and to work within the realm of blockchain. Okay. I would now like to hand the floor back to Laura, because I think you have a few questions which will entertain the people that are in this conversation.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. So in case there are any questions so far, but I don't see anybody raising the hand or anything in the chat, Then I would say, Bara, we can move on with the poll questions. We prepared some of the poll questions. You have a couple of minutes for it. I think 5 to 7 minutes. And then we would go over to the panel discussion. So take your time, and fill out the poll.
And just a question, can you see the poll on the screen or not?
I can see it.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I guess we can, perfect.
I will end the poll now, unless there's someone who's just finishing. If so, please shout at us. Otherwise, I will end the poll now. Okay. And you should be able to see the results now, right?
Yes, perfect. For me, at least, it's viewable.
And you can see the first question or all the results? Yes, the first question probably.
All of that. At least for me, I can see all.
I can see all of them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So back to you, Laura.
All right. Then I would say let's go to the panel discussion. Our idea was basically then to take a look also at the results from the audience and take it like kind of a stimulus for the panel discussion and see how or what our experts have to say about that. One of the first questions which I think might be interesting to look at and that I would like to give further to the experts would be, for example, what skills do you believe are most lacking in the current blockchain workforce, or where you be? So question number 4. It's quite tight with all of them, which is quite interesting. So some of the audience see technical proficiency as like the one that is most lacking. Some others, the business, and least of them see legal and compliant knowledge as a skill which is actually missing or lacking, and soft skills got least of the votes. I will give the question now to you. What do you think, or what is your opinion on that? What do you actually see this, or what do you believe where skills are lacking within the blockchain workforce?
I'm happy to give an answer. Perhaps just on the soft skills, Laura. I mean, the reason why I didn't vote for that, I don't think it's specifically lacking in the blockchain workforce. Arguably, it's lacking in all workforces. But I voted for business acumen, if I remember correctly. I think we see often when we talk with customers, they still have very much this mindset of thinking of conventional, let's say, ways of transferring data, transferring information. And the blockchain with this decentralized manner is really a new way of thinking. And this is where I think the first but the biggest hurdle is when you approach customers in helping them like solve their issues. When you offer them this decentralized way of thinking, it really requires them to think differently. And this is where, in my opinion, the workforce should be more knowledgeable. So that's why I personally voted for the business acumen. But I don't know, I see Benche, you've unmuted yourself, so perhaps you have a different opinion.
No, I think what you started with is probably the most important thing, is that the soft skills are something that it's not for the lack of it that the votes are so low. It's because it's just a general issue, I think. I would like to just add maybe one more thing to the decentralized mindset, because for me, I'm also a researcher in the blockchain space, and there, a lot of times it seems to be forgotten that the decentralization as like a sociological idea is the basis for DLT and blockchain in general. So I think that you can put on almost all of the answers and the legal and compliance knowledge as well, because obviously if you have decentralized structures, then everything changes the way you handle like governance. And especially when you get the DAO space, it's in most of the jurisdictions, it's unclear still what kind of legal entity it is. And then it's very difficult to get into the practical aspect of, for example, DeSci-DAOs, where how do you even get together as scientists and propose something? What happens with IP? What happens with the funding, and so forth? So it's this decentralization is a key aspect.
So I second what the colleagues have been saying, and the fact is, I think the topic of business acumen is a bit more, even more deep as a problem right now than we actually may think. So the topic is not only having an understanding on how the new way of doing the business solution works, but it's actually in developing an effective decentralized business model that is profitable. And this is where I think the main topic for many companies is, and I'm not talking about the companies who may be clients, I'm talking about the companies who have to develop the solution. So how do I evolve my current Web2 business to have a Web3 business that is effective? And here is where the workforce has to be trained deeply in having an understanding not only on how the model works, the centralized model works, and this is definitely connected to the centralized mindset. So we cannot develop solutions that are fully decentralized if we are still thinking about centralized solutions. And I think this is something we are still seeing on the market. So blockchain is not a new technology. We have been in business for more than 10 years now. The technology itself, it's only, let's say, recent that it's gained deep interest from the market, but still it's not only 1 or 2 years, it's 6 or 7 years. So right now what we're still seeing is that many are trying to develop solutions that do not still solve a specific problems. However, we are seeing some solutions that are actually solving a concrete problem in a completely different decentralized way. And this is where also when training the workforce, we need to focus on, like in examples and like concrete solutions that are active and functioning. Because sometimes among the experts, among the, let's say, people who are in the business, the discussion is, should we use this or that blockchain? Should we use this or that centralized or non-decentralized solution? And it's very interesting, and I get in that topic a lot. But in the end, at the end of the day, companies have to live, and we need to pay the workforce. So in order to do that, the business model has to be effective, but it has to be a fully decentralized one. Otherwise, we're just rebranding solutions that are on the market, and there is where true business acumen comes to play.
If I can just add to what Margarita said, and first I want to pick up on a point that Bensei mentioned earlier about the whole legal and compliance. I think also one thing that we do realize that even governments and legislators themselves do not really know how to tackle blockchain. So I think that's one thing that is very important to mention. And because governments themselves do not know, it's hard for companies to know how to adapt. But talking of what Margarita you said, so you said that blockchain was not a new technology, and to this I disagree personally, because yes, it's been 7 or 8 years, but if you look at other technologies that we use, internet, I don't know, even more like the energies, we've been using these for 40, 50 years. So 6 or 7 years is still new in that context, and ish, I mean, you arguably, but also it's a technology, like Bensei said, which requires a whole mind shift difference, right? And this is where, for me, the fact that it's 6 or 7 years means it's new, because there's a whole different way of thinking about it. It's not within a week or 2 weeks or 6 months of a year that you can adopt this new stance. You need to kind of reconsider everything that you've been doing so far. So these are 2 points that I wanted to add.
I see there's a hand raise.
Yes, I wanted to say the same. Ricardo, do you want to add anything?
No, thank you. I have a question. How do you read the 0% on leadership? It's very interesting.
Let me check.
So this is question 5.
Yeah, like I think it's further on. But if I can comment on that, this is a more general topic, like not really connected to the topic of blockchain understanding. But how do you, I challenge your question, Ricardo. How do you understand leadership in a decentralized environment? Who's the leader?
I think that's, in a sense, so CEOs CEOs and leaders from companies to actually understand the technology, they will need to have also access to some skills and to perceive that. So the question was, I was surprised. I thought it was going to be low, but not that low. So I was surprised that leadership was at a 0% on the skills to be empowered there as well in a at least in the transition phase.
Mm-hmm. Like, I second that. Like, I think we all agree on the fact that the lack of leadership is a problem, not in blockchain only, in a more general terms. I also think that, however, when it gets to training, it's easier to train the other elements. You can train better business acumen and technical skills. So this is how I read this response from our poll, but maybe the colleagues have different opinion.
Well, I think it shows again that this decentralized mindset and the entire paradigm shift of how we live and work and communicate together in society shows in this poll. And like you said, Margarita, it's how do you have leadership in a decentralized manner? So I can somewhat understand the 0%, but at least it's good to see that the highest one is the decentralized mindset, because that's at the center of it. What's maybe a bit more interesting to me is that the individual autonomy and responsibility and accountability, because they kind of go hand in hand with the decentralization, because we have to empower individuals to work in this new environment, that's a bit lower. But I mean, that's, again, just a small sample size. But those are things that also, I think, go hand in hand with the decentralization aspect.
All right. Any additions to that from the other speakers?
I think Ricardo's question was very valuable. I think perhaps it's also a way of interpretation of what leadership is. I mean, you could argue that having emotional intelligence and empathy are within the skill set of a sound leader, right? And good communication skills are within the skill set of a sound leader. So that's partly why I didn't tick the leadership box. I think also, I mean, it's quite relevant that critical thinking and research skills are needed, and they somehow go hand in hand with this decentralized mindset. When you have critical thinking, you kind of challenge your ways of thinking and conventional ways of thinking, and allow yourself and allow your organization to perhaps think of something that wasn't even fathomed in previously. So, I mean, what I perhaps want to say is that a lot of these boxes here are kind of intertwined, and it's perhaps relates to the interpretation of an individual why you tick one and not the other. But obviously, all of them are significantly important.
For sure. Also, like, one thought about the leadership is, like, the other ones seem a little bit higher, and of course it could be definitely about regarding how do you define leadership, but also maybe also what the other speakers said about how much that the other skills rather enable somebody to develop this decentralized mindset. So with that, one thought about that, because some of them really enable that more, because also regarding while we talked about that, another important or interesting aspect would be maybe to talk about when looking also at the skills that you think there are lacks, or like that there is a lack of skill set in the workforce. What do you think what we can do to, or question number 7, what do you think, how should the education, or what should the education basically prioritize? Here at the results, we see definitely kind of more tenor going towards practical skills first and then theoretical, but we also have many, or the most of them go into the direction of having a mixture of theoretical and practical skills. What are your thoughts about that?
So I will start on that. In general terms, the attitude that blockchain experts and blockchain people have been having in the last years is to be training themselves. So the majority of the tech people that we have are self-trained. Even the best ones are self-trained. So this definitely gives us a clear understanding of how powerful practical learning is. So when it gets to the tech part, I think it is important to have programs and training and education and universities working on this, but having always in mind to have a very concrete approach, not only theoretical, but getting to the practical part from the very beginning of for example, technology or technology university or a IT degree and everything. It's to have a concrete approach from the beginning. However, when it gets to the previous point we've been discussing, which is business acumen, you need to have also very theoretical understanding. It's not enough to have a very good tech understanding and being a very great developer or system administrator. You need to have a very good understanding on how the theory of this new world works. Otherwise, we are missing in the business model, we are missing in the concrete impact, and so on. This is why I voted, for example, on a mix of the two, which is somehow easy to vote. If you vote for a mix of the two, it's always the easiest option, right? Yeah, and nobody can blame you for that. But I truly believe that because it works differently based on what's your position, what you do for work. If you are not only a tech person, you need to have also theoretical part.
One question, Margarita. So, do you think there is, or do you tend towards a specific share of practical skills, or how much practical should be and how much theoretical? Do you think?
So, I think that if it's a tech work, so if you have to work directly on the technology, it can also be a 30 theory and 70 practice. And not theory first and practice second, but I think it's the more important part is not only the percentage, but also how you're mixing it in the training path. When it gets to a more business model definition and in general, like the whole project development, I think the theory is still more important on percentage base, of course.
If I can, yeah, I mean, I second everything you've said, Margarita, and I don't have much to add. I think these are the kind of questions where you cannot have one or the other. You need both. You need both scenarios. You need both knowledges to work together. But I do think perhaps I would give a slight nudge to the theoretical knowledge over the practical. I think also perhaps the theoretical knowledge allows you to continue an ongoing conversation, whereas perhaps practical relates sometimes to the status quo and could at times, or fails at times to take it a step further. Whereas the theoretical knowledge, in my view, is a process. So that's perhaps one additional piece of information I would give.
Yeah, I would just stress one more time what Margarita said at the beginning is that the theoretical knowledge has to be the base upon which we can build the practical stuff. And also my original bias from being a teacher and working in teacher education and in universities, that's the very important basis to have a theoretical academic knowledge base, and then we can build upon that. So I fully agree with it has to be a mix, but it's important how you mix it, obviously, in what steps. And I think we're clear on what we think.
All right. Any further comments from the other speakers? If not on that, looking so we clarified now that the mix would be ideally and having the theoretical part as a basis. What would you think, when looking also at a question number I think it was, let's see, So what do you think how colleges and universities, question number 9, when they offer, what do you think they should offer? Do you think you need a dedicated curriculum or even a dedicated bachelor's or master's program for blockchain? Is it that complex? And is it necessary to actually to have this kind of programs to reach this decentralized mindset? Or do you think having like kind of contents and topics within existing programs would be enough? What are your opinions on that?
I'm happy to start answering this question. I have quite a strong opinion on that. I think it needs to be integrated, to be honest. This is my opinion. I think the world we live in today is complex and we do not work in silos, and blockchain is no different to any other technology. It only works well when it works integrated to other technologies, integrated to other systems. Perhaps if someone wants to become very proficient in X or Y, then following on an integrated degree could have a topic degree in one application or the other. But to start off, I very much am in favor of an integrated degree, which is assimilated to other technologies and other systems and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I second. Yeah, please.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, yeah, I second that. I second that. Like, I think that especially at this stage where we are still building a lot, we are still in this, as Jonathan said before, a bit early phase, even if we disagree a bit on how early we are, but still, it's still early. We have not been in business for 40 years. At this point, you need to be integrated in other business courses, in other IT courses. Otherwise, you risk to train somebody who has not a clear understanding on everything else that is going on. Like, we are in competition with other technologies, right? We have a way to solve some problems. Some other technologies have their way to solve the same problem. So if we need to have a full understanding of what's on the market, we need to have a full understanding of how the industries work, in general terms of the legal ecosystem that is surrounding the technology, even if this is changing very fast. So also this may be more problematic. But yeah, I totally second the fact that it has to be integrated.
I'd actually add more study programs that could benefit not only business and IT, but simply my background. Even in teacher education, it would be helpful to talk about decentralization. How does society change through this technology? Same thing in sociology in general. They have to understand what technologies do with society. So I think it has to be integrated in basically all the relevant parts.
And I would even add one comment, Laura, which I think is quite telling. I mean, when we do customer projects in blockchain, we always say we don't do blockchain on itself, right? We do it with data analytics, we do it with IoT, we do it with AI and so forth. And this is I mean, blockchain in itself is, to my view, has limited value. It only has a lot of value when you incorporate it with other systems. And yeah.
Great. Thanks for that comment, Jonathan. Any other comments on that particular question? Otherwise, I would go to like kind of the last question, because we are also reaching almost the end of the session, which would be, what do you think actually, how, question number 10, I'm referring to question number 10 here. How can countries and regions bridge the blockchain skills gap effectively? How can they work together, maybe universities and private organizations, to close it? And what do you think, what role Chaise or the initiative of Chaise plays within that?
I can start quickly. I'd click here now, a mix of all. This would be the question where I'd be like, okay, this pretty much we need everything, because it's not enough to have only, let's say, hackathons and competitions. It's nice because it's very open and everyone can participate. We don't want maybe too much government incentives, because doesn't send the right message maybe for the decentralization aspect. And also academic partnerships are maybe not enough reach-wise. So I think this is exactly the point where we need a mix of pretty much everything that we can find, because it's about raising awareness, and we have to work interdisciplinarily with pretty much everyone.
If I can pick up on the last line from Ben's, I agree on that. It's about raising awareness. We need to start from the start. And we usually try to start from the end, and it doesn't work. We need to start from the start. Right now, we need to have like an awareness campaigns starting from companies, from the experts, in trying to have also the general public have an understanding on how the technology works, which doesn't mean that they have to have a full understanding of it. Many people don't know how internet works, and they use it every day, 20 hours a day, and that's completely fine. Or electricity, same story. But understanding, for example, what Jonathan was saying at the very beginning of his session, the difference between blockchain and cryptocurrencies, right? To raise interest in the potential workforce. Right now, we do not have so much interest in much of the middle and senior workforce in retraining themselves in this business. We have interest usually from students who are graduating from high schools and joining university or self-learning. They are interested, and there's a growth in that, like that has been evaluated. But we also need middle and seniors to upskill and reskill themselves so that they can leverage on their own the expertise that they built in 15 years or 30 years of work, and then have an understanding on the blockchain aspect, right? So I think that in order to do that, you need to have a raising awareness phase at this stage. It can come from private, it can come from public, it can come from the experts, so like us, that we are in business, but I think that's the step one.
And I'm happy to add one point, Laura. I mean, I'm happy to add actually 2 points. So I agree with everything that's been said. I'm not going to add to that. But I think what's quite interesting when it comes to the industry academic partnerships for blockchain, most industry academic partnerships, you feel like you will learn something at school and then you will understand how you can apply it at the industry level. Whereas with blockchain, most of the knowledge is academic. So it's actually the academic offering something to the industry, which is kind of a contradiction to how, you know, most other technologies would work, right? In common situations, the industry would offer, okay, this is how we apply it. But when it comes to blockchain, it would actually be the academics that say, okay, this is how you could apply it to the industry. So I think that's quite interesting when it comes to blockchain. And then you also asked a question when it comes to the Chaise project, and I think as Benji and Margarita are perhaps as involved as I am for this project, that I can answer that question. I think Chaise project provides a coursework, a curriculum to be more knowledgeable when it comes to blockchain, to understand how it can be valuable. So I think it's a very, very nice set of information which can be leveraged. But I think it's one of the many items that individuals should learn from when it comes to blockchain, because I really want to stress the fact that blockchain does not work in a silo. It does not operate effectively in a silo. So this must be applied also to when you learn about blockchain. You cannot only use one type of material. You need to really get acquainted with the whole idea of the whole mindset shift.
Maybe to add one more thing, I think a program like Chaise exactly raises awareness. It is important to have a program like this, because I think we mentioned in the beginning is that in this space, a lot of the early adopters, let's say, are self-trained, which it's totally fine. But if we want the public to understand what it is, we have to have programs that have some kind of label where people understand, oh, there's a curriculum, there's some goal that's been followed with this program. And I think Chaise does it wonderfully.
Great, thank you for all your answers. Here's one question. I didn't see it. Not sure if you skipped question 8 on purpose. Maybe yes. Let's see. We are just to explain. We're going a little bit through the questions because we knew we can't cover all of them, but we can take a specific look at it if interesting. We have 2 minutes, so maybe we allow the speakers to say a few words on that. So the question number 8 would be, do you think blockchain certification programs should be standardized across continents, large regions, or should they be adaptable to local needs and industries? So the majority answered a mix of both. What is your opinion about that?
Oh, I can start. I have a strong opinion on this. This is a fully decentralized technology. Then the business needs may be different, but the certification has to be global. Like the standard level has to be global.
Other opinions on that? Vince, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm thinking, which is why I haven't answered yet.
I mean, I clicked a mix of both, but I think it's I think that's a great philosophical question: is standardization in a decentralized ecosystem? Because that kind of goes against it. So it's I think it's a deep philosophical question, but yeah, I don't think we have time for that now.
Yeah, I do agree. Maybe just one thought about standardization. Also, when we talked in the past with other experts, the case that blockchain is moving so fast, standardization helps actually to set some rules on specific things, so that people can get along and catch up, because it's so fast moving, and we can kind of build at some point momentum. Just as a small remark from my side, what I heard in the past from other experts. But as we don't have time anymore and we need to close, just to summarize. So generally the opinion is here, or like strong from the expert. We learned that decentralized mindset is very important. We need to have a combination of practical and theoretical education or skill set, which is important to actually be able to meet like the skill to meet the skill gap within blockchain. And a very important thing also mentioned here is actually the understanding of business, or actually how to develop effective business models. And this requires a really deep understanding, or a kind of mind shift within our current society. And with that, of course, working together and having countries trying to close that skill gap through a mixture of everything that was especially listed here, like industry, academia partnerships, government incentives, global talent and recruitment, and hackathons and competition could be something that we could approach or see as equally relevant. And the role of Chaise is especially, and this is what I heard from the speakers, is especially important when it comes to awareness. And to close that all as a summary, also important to keep in mind is that blockchain in itself is not powerful, but we need to teach the people how, or we need to prioritize a skill or a kind of attitude that sees blockchain only as a complementary thing, as an enabler. So basically having it in combination with other technologies and seeing where it makes sense and where not. And with that, thank you very much to everyone. I hope you learned some things. We are very happy to receive all the answers. They're very valuable. And I'm going to give now the word to Ricardo.
Thank you, Laura.
The Executive Director. And yeah.
Thank you, Laura. It's a privilege to have you here with us. And this exciting roundtable, I think it was very enlightening, the answers that the audience provides. I think the format was really interesting for us to have also, as also part of the Chaise consortium, to have these insights from the audience. So I thank you all. So we're wrapping the INATBA Digital Blockchain Week, but the last thing to do is to have the closing remarks, and I have the pleasure to have here Thomas Nagele, Chair of the Board of INATBA, to give the closing remarks of this very exciting Digital Blockchain Week.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, fellow blockchain entrepreneurs and enthusiasts, policymakers and researchers, as we prepare to conclude this incredible journey through the digital realm of blockchain innovation, I'm honored to deliver the closing remarks for INATBA Digital Blockchain Week 2023. In the digital landscape we've explored over the past few days, we've encountered a world of limitless possibilities. We've connected across screens, bridging distances and time zones to share insights, knowledge, and a collective passion for blockchain technology. This online gathering has been a testament to the power of technology itself, the ability to unite, inform, and inspire. It reminds us that innovation knows no bounds, and the blockchain community is not confined by geographical constraints, as we had attendees from more than 50 countries all over the world. Throughout the week, we've touched on diverse topics, from sustainability to financial inclusion, from the metaverse to privacy and security, and from digital assets to policy and regulation, one of my favorite topics. These discussions have illuminated the many-sided nature of blockchain and its potential to reshape industries, economies, and societies. On the hallmarks of this event has been opening our core working groups to non-members, has allowed for a broader collaboration essential to drive policy, standards, and innovation in the blockchain space. This inclusivity exemplifies the core values of INATBA, a commitment to fostering a collective effort to advance the technology. And we encourage your company to join our efforts. But our journey doesn't end with the closing of this digital week. In fact, it's just the beginning. The blockchain space is dynamic and ever evolving, offering countless opportunities for innovation, collaboration, and impact. It is our collective responsibility to carry the knowledge, inspiration, and connections we've gained here into the future. We are the architects of blockchain's future. Our actions, our creativity, and our dedication will determine how this technology continues to transform industries and improves lives. Let us approach this responsibility with enthusiasm and a sense of purpose. I want to extend our thanks to our 40+ speakers and attendees who have made this virtual event a tremendous success. Your contributions, questions, and engagement have been the lifeblood of this week, and we are deeply grateful. A heartfelt acknowledgement extends to the dedication of the INATBA team and the technical experts working behind the scenes, who have tirelessly orchestrated the success of this online gathering. We'd like to express our gratitude also to our platform partner, Room, for enabling us to transport our virtual backgrounds from the elegant Paris Haussmann apartment to the serene chalets in the Swiss mountains during selected sessions, adding a touch of virtual magic to our event. We also extend our appreciation to our esteemed partners, the European Blockchain Observatory and Forum, as well as Caisse de Dépôt, who have been instrumental in our digital assets and sustainability tracks. As we bid adieu to INATBA Digital Blockchain Week 2023, let me offer a glimpse of what lies ahead on our horizon. INATBA is embarking on an exciting journey with the launch of an industrial blockchain task force, poised to assess and foster consortial activities across various industries. For those seeking to explore this initiative further, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Moreover, until October 23rd, we eagerly await your submissions for the second edition of the INATBA Awards. These awards are a celebration of blockchain excellence, designed to distinguish remarkable projects, products, and services that leverage the power of blockchain technology. To discover more details or nominate your outstanding project, kindly visit our website at inatba.org/awards. inatba.org/awards. Nominate your project. Thank you for being part of this remarkable online experience. Together, we are navigating the digital frontier, one block at a time. Until our next digital rendezvous, keep innovating and exploring the possibilities the blockchain holds. Safe travels in the digital realm. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.